Good evening, everyone. We are live once again today with another interesting topics, which is going to be pretty useful for you. And let me share with you what's the topic that we have chosen for today. You see in the scroller down, this is the topic we have picked up today: how to cut short your learning curve. And before I go on to discussing about this subject, one of my favorites, let me also share with you all that what is it that I'm doing. You see, my name is Vikram Duggal and I'm a career acceleration coach. I created an online program way back in 2020 and which has been steadily progressing. And now that festive season is going on, I created a very special offer where more number of people can become part of this program at obviously lesser investment. Notice the word that I've used. It's not a cost that I'm talking about, investment. So one person makes the investment, and that person can invite one more to this boot camp, which is the beginning stage of my online program, which is a long term association that I create. So, how do you get to know the details of what I have to offer? Go to this link, vikramdugal.com slash bootcamp, and I'll share this link in the comment section also so that you can get access to that. Another thought that I'm suggesting to you is please share this video on whichever platform you are watching it right now so that more number of people can benefit from the conversation that we are going to have now, plus the offer that I have made. So this is to begin with. Now the topic that we have picked up is how to cut short the learning curve. Let us first ask, why is it important to be on the learning curve? And is everyone on the learning curve? Let's explore these questions to begin with. Why is it important to be on the learning curve? The simple reason is unless you are learning, that means you are dying. You need to be learning or you are becoming obsolete without even your knowledge. So, to stay relevant, you need to be a continuous learner. And whose responsibility is it? Obviously, it is your responsibility to be a continuous learner. And as you continue to learn, you continue to grow. And a trend that I have noticed in my interaction with thousands of participants across industries is that not many people continue to learn when they get into jobs. Notice what I'm saying. Not everyone continues to learn when they get into job. Second thing is, even if they continue to learn, the pace of learning very starkly drops the moment they get into a job. Perhaps it becomes a kind of comfort zone. I've got a job. What shall I worry about? So that is what perhaps becomes the thought process, the mindset of people. However, it's very important to stay on the learning curve. It's very important to continue to make that curve shorter and shorter, right? Now, how do we make our learning curve short? That means the curve is pretty steep. One important thing, a couple of thoughts that I am going to share with you. First important thought that comes to my mind is learn to reflect every single day. What do I mean by reflection? When you are reflecting, that means you are in your own company. You are being with yourself when you are reflecting. And what happens when you reflect? Typically, two things come to your attention when you're reflecting. One thing that happens is you are able to quickly scan the entire day. The whole day passes in front of you in a flash, like within a couple of minutes, maybe sometimes seconds. The whole day passes in front of you as to what are the high points, what were the low points that you have experienced. And another thing that happens is in that process, you also are able to pinpoint what were the those points, those specific moments when perhaps you could have acted differently, you could have behaved differently, you could have taken a different decision. And this reflection prepares you a little better for the next day. Every single day, if you do that, you will notice you are learning from every day's life situations. That is one of the wonderful things to happen. So reflect daily. Then, second point that comes to my mind is I just mentioned everyday situations come in front of you. Now, specifically, what I'm saying here is learn from everyday situations, which means whatever situations you come across every single day, you can learn from them. So, let us say you had a conversation with your team members. If you have a closer look at that, you can learn something from there. You had a conversation with a client, just explore that after the conversation gets over, and you will be able to learn something from that. Let's say you made a presentation to your office people, to maybe senior management. uh, Go through that once again after the event gets over. Maybe you can learn something from that. And like this, every such event that you have gone through, every uh, so to say, an important event that you have lived that day, that can become your teacher. And once you are able to do that, notice every event brings some lessons to you and prepares you a little better for the next event, for the next day, and so on and so forth. So, this is the second important point. Third important is again something I personally recommend a lot. I personally practice a lot. Here, work on the feedback. Pay attention to the word work, which means action needs to be taken. What happens with many people over a period of time is that they are getting feedback. But the question is, are they working on it? So, on feedback, also, some feedback comes very, very specifically. Okay, I want to give you some feedback, and feedback is available to you. But the second one is there is feedback which is available in the environment. Are you able to pick up those signals, like the body language of other people, the way they are talking to you, the way they are interacting with you? All that can become a form of feedback if you are observant and if you are paying attention. Second part of this is, which is even more significant, that is, are you working on that feedback? Are you taking some action on that feedback so that you keep on being a little better prepared, you keep on growing from those feedbacks? Only then those feedbacks are important. If you end up saying, I am like this or I'm like that, that doesn't serve any purpose. That doesn't show that you are actually learning and growing. So, as you start working on the feedback, you will notice your progress is much faster in comparison to perhaps the world around you. And that is what perhaps is recommended, that is perhaps is required. Let us look at the next important point that comes to my understanding. Make the most of learning opportunities. Every organization has created a platform of learning opportunities, isn't it? Every organization wants its people to learn a little more so that they can contribute a little more. What I'm suggesting is make the most of those learning opportunities. And what are some of the things that you can do to make the most of learning opportunities? One, whenever those learning opportunities are projected as opportunities, be willing to be a part of those learning opportunities. That is the first thing. Starting point is you need to show that, yes, I am interested, because it will send a message that this is a person who wants to invest in himself or herself. That itself is a differentiating factor. Second part is be actively participative member in that learning opportunities. First, you are getting in. Second, you are participating. And when you are participating, obviously your absorption is more in comparison to other people in the room. Third important step is the last word which is mentioned here: take action. One of the points that comes up in conversations that I have with people is, why is it that various training programs are not making difference to people? Simple reason is, are they taking an action on that? So what I recommend is, from every learning opportunities, pick up just a couple of points that you can put into execution, put into implementation, so that it starts benefiting you. And when it is benefiting you, obviously, I mean, you are able to contribute a little more to the work also. And it becomes a kind of win-win situation. So start making the most of learning opportunities which are presented to you. Next important point is, participate in events. And what do I mean by participate in events? Is that I'm recommending that stay away from work and keep participating in events? Obviously, that is not the message that I want to give. What I want to say here is, participate in events means that you make use of various events where people get together for having conversations, for sharing their knowledge, for sharing their learnings, for sharing their progress, for sharing their breakthroughs. And when you are in those events, you can learn a lot. For example, let's say a CEO of a company not related to your field of work is making a presentation on a breakthrough achievement that their organization has done. And when that CEO is making a presentation, he's going into the details of the whole process and what they have achieved and how it is going to contribute to the organization and to the society. And when you are absorbing that information, you can start applying something similar to your workplace, to yourself, to your team members. And is that something great that can happen for you and your team and your organization? Obviously, yes. So, what are the kind of events that I'm talking about? Whether they are online events, whether they are offline events, it's really immaterial. So online events, obviously, they are something very easy to get connected to, because you have to simply plug and play kind of thing. You just have to register, you just have to log in and be there. That's it. And it takes only the bit of time that the event is going on. It doesn't involve any travel time and so on. And when offline events are happening, like there are seminars, there are workshops, there are presentations, there are industry body events are happening. And when you go to those events, you not only learn and absorb from what is happening from the stage, but you absorb when you interact with people who have come to attend those events. And sometimes they become breakthroughs for you, sometimes they become lifelong associations for you, and either way you stand to benefit, and you learn a lot from those conversations, right? So start participating in those events, which may require you to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Then comes again which is we all must have learned right from our childhood: learn from the mistakes of others. To come to a point where this world has come, many people have done a lot of work. And that work, thankfully, in today's time is so easily available to us through a variety of platforms. So when you access that, you learn, you understand, you figure out what are the kind of stepping stones that people have walked on. And in climbing those stepping stones, perhaps what were the pitfalls they faced, what were the challenges they faced, how they overcame those challenges. All that comes to your understanding. And that prepares you a little better to handle yourself, your environment, and so on. And it is not necessary, obviously, that you learn, you first make mistakes and then learn from them. Perhaps that's one of the worst ways to continue to learn or enhance your learning. First make a mistake and then learn. uh, so that's not a very intelligent way of learning, obviously, right? So learn from the mistakes of others, which will come to your attention when you expose yourself to uh, the work that has been done by many people before you, right? So next point is, which is the second last point that I would like to recommend, is ask questions. This is one of the most profound ways to expand your horizon. Ask questions. Whether you are in a meeting, in a presentation, in a workshop, in a seminar, and you're just listening to some. So, what happens in all those situations and opportunities, invariably, the speaker says, I'll take up questions towards the end. So pay attention to what is being said and discussed, and prepare your questions well in advance so that you can raise those questions towards the end. And let me say this, it is one of the easiest ways to connect with what the speaker is saying. It is one of the easiest ways to think a little deeply on any subject which is being talked about. Now, another important thing that I would like to recommend here when it comes to asking questions is, don't feel shy. Many people think that asking questions will show that you do not know. I personally think it's not that. It's not the right way to look at the subject of asking questions. Asking question is all about expanding your own horizon. And another important thing, which is a little subtle, a little deep also, that is, do not ask questions just to validate what you already know, or to show the speaker in a poor light. Again, that's not a very intelligent way to handle that situation. The best way to ask any question is to expand, to think a little more, to go beyond the existing point of conversation. That's what I'm recommending here. Ask questions. And the last point that I'm saying is, diversify your learning. And what do I mean by diversify your learning? I simply mean that rather than learning only about your own subject matter, learn about different subjects. Learn about different subjects, and one of those subjects must always be human behavior, your own internal growth, because there is so much inside each one of us which needs to be worked upon, which needs to be resolved, which needs to be let go at times. And that will happen only when you are learning beyond your work. And when you diversify learning, let's say you want to learn something about music, you want to learn something about gardening or maybe cooking. Now, when you are diversifying your learning, it only shows that you are becoming more creative in your thought process. And that learning will, in a very subtle and subconscious way, contribute to your work also. And you won't even know that. You won't be able to kind of find how it is contributing, but it does. Because our internal system is very subtle, very profound, and highly intelligent. So diversify your learning. That is also one of the ways to shorten your learning curve. Now, as I did it yesterday, I'm saying today also, what's the bonus tip? Bonus tip is stay healthy physically, mentally, as well as emotionally. And why staying healthy is important? How does it relate to learning curve? Staying healthy is important to shorten your learning curve, because only when you are physically fit will your mind work better. Only when you are mentally stable can you handle your emotions. Only when you are emotionally healthy will you be able to have physical fitness, because mind and body are part of the same system. It is not so easy to understand this connection of being healthy and shortening your learning curve. Let us just take a simple example here. You are in a learning opportunity. You are in a learning opportunity, and let us say you are not physically fit at that time. Maybe a little headache, or you may be feeling a little lethargic because you had a late night the previous night, or you have some aches and pains. Let us assume anything. So tell me, how will your behavior be in that learning event? Obviously your focus will be diverted again and again, and you'll not be able to absorb everything that is being said. You'll not be able to participate actively. So this is just one simple and very profound, very gross example that I'm giving, but all this works in a very subtle way also. So you need to pay attention to your physical, mental, and emotional fitness, emotional health also, so that you are able to do more justice to the learning platforms, right? So these are some of the ideas that I wanted to share. Let me see if there are any comments by anyone. And as I said in the beginning, please share this video with your network so that they are able to benefit from what I've shared with you all today. And let me also say, all these thoughts that I'm sharing, I just sit down, look at the subject, and ask myself, what would I do if I had to put this into practice? For example, today's topic, how to shorten the learning curve, how to short, how to cut short the learning curve. I'll just ask myself, what will I do if I have to cut short my learning curve? And all that I've shared, perhaps I'll put into practice. I am putting into practice, right? So this is what I had to share today, and I'll meet you tomorrow, same time, 6 o'clock, with a new topic. And if you want to know about my boot camp, I'm once again sharing the link with you all here, which has to be visited. Go to this link, and you'll get all the details about what is the festive offer that I've created, so that you can benefit from that, right? So bye bye, and I look forward to meeting you again. Bye bye.